Good evening, everyone. I will call to order the regular school board meeting of ISD 717. It is Tuesday, November 12th. It is 6:31. That's wrong, 6:31 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Deb Polly.
Here.
Sarah Lanen.
Here.
Lauren Pedersen.
Here.
Molly Monyak.
Here.
Rob Langheim. Corinne Hennon.
Here.
Jenny Kuski.
Here.
Thank you. Consideration of the agenda. We do not have any changes, I believe, to the agenda since it was published. So I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as published.
Motion to approve.
Molly, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Corinne. Discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Nobody indicated that they wanted to speak at public comment. Our consent agenda items, we have the minutes from the October 14th regular meeting, the October 28th workshop meeting. We have the October financials. Thank you, Amy. For donations, we have Mighty Cause JES Backpack Program, $45. JMS Capital Company, Cirque Scoreboard, $400. Jordan Pride Booster Club subsidizing various activity expenses, $33,374.61. Jacob and Samantha Pauley JES Music Program, $10. Mary Koslerich JES Jordan Family Outreach for winter wear, $250. Jordan Fire Department JHS Trap Team, $1,000. Jordan Commercial Club Wheels Up Holiday Tour of Lights, $350. Jordan Area Lions Club Wheels Up Holiday Tour of Lights, $350. And the Jordan Nest Lions Wheel Up Holiday Tour of Lights, $350. And we have one new hire. We have a new hire, elementary school special ed paraprofessional, Brooklyn Bedney. She comes in at grade 3, step 2. New hire, high school assistant wrestling coach, Melissa Jacobs. She comes in per Schedule C. And then we have the leave of absence for our middle school principal, Benjamin Bakeberg. I will entertain a motion to approve consent.
Motion to approve.
Molly, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Lauren. Discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, review and act on the Scott West Wrestling overnight trip. Mr. Butine is at a parent meeting for basketball, I believe, so Superintendent Evenson is going to take over on this.
All right, good evening, Chair Polly, members of the board. The Scott West wrestling team is requesting permission to do an overnight trip. The schedule change is resulting from Eden Prairie canceling a meet. So they had only 2 options to replace on that date, and it was Alexandria and Bemidji. So they chose Alexandria. Traveling up to Alexandria after school on January 10th, and they would compete and travel back on the 11th. It would include 8 coach chaperones and 30 to 35 athletes. No additional transportation costs. Scott West Booster Club will assist with lodging, food, and expenses. They just need the permission to do the overnight.
Motion to approve.
Lauren, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Corinne, okay, discussion, questions? Is this, I forgot to ask earlier, is this boys and girls?
I don't know the answer.
Okay, not that it matters, but,
Yeah.
well, it does matter, but.
Yeah, I honestly don't know the
Okay.
answer.
Okay,
We do.
Yeah.
But if they don't have a girls wrestling team to wrestle, then they will wrestle just with on the boys if they
Got it.
make it.
okay, gotcha, gotcha, okay,
Yeah, it didn't specify,
okay.
so.
Okay, any questions, further discussion? I know we just approved some trips last meeting, so this is in addition.
Yep.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, no further questions. All those in favor of approving the Scott West Wrestling trip to Alexandria signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Review and act on the Scott West Nordic overnight trip.
Okay, this is a request again for Scott West Nordic Ski. It's an annual trip to, I'm going to say this wrong, Biwabik, to ski the state meet course over winter break. Gives an opportunity to practice on the state meet course and maybe one of the team's first times on the snow for the season. It would be 16 athletes total, most from Belle Plaine, most likely, several from Jordan. Specific athletes won't be known until the season starts. Parent chaperones will provide transportation with transportation waiver forms completed for Jordan students. Approximately $45 cost per participant is absorbed by the participants and covers lodging and ski passes.
Did you say 45? It's or
45.
Can you scroll down a little bit?
That's
So
what
the
it
whole
says.
thing is 450 paid by the athletes?
$45 per person. I think the field trip cost, what does it say?
Oh,
500?
field trip cost. I totally read
Yeah.
that wrong.
That's okay. But it's $45 per person. And again, the season hasn't started, but they want to make sure to get the overnight requests in ahead of time, which it is in alignment with what we've asked our coaches to do to plan ahead, so it's not last minute.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion, and then we can have discussion, questions.
Motion to approve.
Molly, is there a second?
Second.
Lauren, okay. Any further questions? I've been up there when I was on the league board. I got to do medals up there, and it's really a great experience for the kids and a great venue and great opportunity for them. So it'll be fun to see how many of the kids participate and are able to go. So
Can I just ask a question related to the Booster Club? Was this submitted to the Booster Club for a sponsorship or anything like that? Because I'm pretty sure Nordic Ski is part of the Booster Club, aren't they?
I'm not aware of any requests, but yeah, they would be a part of it. I don't have that information.
Okay.
you know, Sarah?
Yeah, they are part of it, but I don't know if they
You-
submitted.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
And really, $45 is pretty minimal,
Mhm.
but good question, so. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion?
I could add, approval of this with those terms wouldn't prohibit them from then going to the Booster Club. They could, if they
Yeah,
have.
it doesn't matter. They can choose to do what they want. I don't think it needs to be part of the
Okay.
approval. If they look for a different avenue,
Yeah.
they look for a different avenue. I was just curious from
Got
a procedural perspective, that's all.
Totally get it.
It'd be nice to have it not be a cost though for the kids, you know, like when you're in other sports, if you don't have to
Yeah.
pay.
Any other comments? You're in basketball, right, Henry? You're not in Nordic.
I was in Nordic skiing I believe my 8th grade year, and this is actually a fantastic trip idea because when you're skiing a certain course, the course is drastically different. So for them to get the opportunity to ski on the state course, like before the state meet or the state tournament, like it's just a huge advantage to them, and not a lot of schools get to do that. So yeah.
Great, good input, thank you. Great. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the Scott West Nordic trip to Biwabik, December 26th and 27th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7.3, we have with us this evening Dr. Jeff Horton from Southwest Metro. He's the superintendent of Southwest Metro Intermediate District. And I'd like to invite you up to the microphone to tell us about Southwest Metro.
All right, thank you. Members of the board, Student Representative Henry and Superintendent Kate Stevenson and members of the leadership team and community, thank you very much for having me today. I appreciate that. Move that up a little bit there. Superintendent Evenson asked me to prepare about a 45-minute to 1-hour presentation for you. It'll be me talking the entire time and no dialogue. No, she asked me to spend 10, 15 minutes just kind of giving an overview of what's happening here at Southwest Metro. So I just wanted to bring attention to a few things and then be available to any questions that you might have. So first of all, what the heck is an intermediate district? For those of you who may or may not know, there are actually 4 intermediate districts in our state. The 4 intermediate serve about 20,000 students with over 120 specialized programs for students. So I think the activity we did the other day, which was a lot of fun for me, is we really think about that gap analysis. Every school district can do some things really well, but there's some things that we just maybe can't quite do, whether it be funding, facilities, or whatever, and we have lots of students with lots of needs. one of the greatest things and one of the toughest things about public education is that we have to serve all students, but we also get to serve all students, and that's also very exciting and challenging. And that's where our intermediate school district comes in. We offer career and technical education programs, so vocational training is a really large part of what we do. We offer special education services, both on-site for students whose needs can't be met here, but also we push out itinerant services. We do some Setting 3 programs for some districts. We have alternative learning center programs, adult education programs, and really anything in between. So we do a lot of different things. As an intermediate district, we are kind of two different things. We do some service co-op things, but we're also a district. So we're kind of a merge of two things. And I think that's something I kind of want to highlight that we're working on. So if we can remember 4 things, if we have 4 takeaways today, this is really the first year in a nutshell. The first 100 days, it's just going out and listening to people. It's talking to people. Thank you so much for lending me Member Polly and Superintendent Stevenson. Both of them have been just instrumental in my first 100 and maybe 22 days or something like that, whatever we're at. You've both been amazing. Thank you for the tour around town that you took me on. I love going to the ice cream shop. I'm not gonna lie, like $1.50, and you get like double scoop. You can split that between 2 kiddos. Like that's awesome. Feed mill, going to breakfast there a couple times. That's a good spot too. So enjoys coming down to Jordan, spending some time here, getting to know more about the community, and learning about what works for Jordan, how we can best meet your needs, and that's what we're working on right now. So. In doing our listening sessions, I've had an opportunity to meet with every staff member, met with every single superintendent, board member, members of the Scott County community, Carver counties, and other places, a lot of their leadership, in trying to figure out, where is it we want to go? What are you seeing and learning from you? And so I appreciate any wisdom and knowledge you can bestow upon me tonight to help me on that journey. So that's the first 100 days. So that's number 1, is just listening. While we continue to listen, we also want to start doing a needs assessment, and that's where we're starting now. We're going through a process with our superintendents. We're doing this with our board members. We're doing this with our staff, and we're talking about what is it that we need to do. Let's look at our data. Let's understand what's happening in our organization. What are the best practices? What does the research say? And how do we vision that together with our member districts to pave a path forward that's going to best meet the needs of students and our member districts? So that's kind of where we're at right now. The third phase is going to be getting into budgets or strategic planning, and kind of really taking all that data and kind of honing that into some achievable goals that we can measure and hold ourselves accountable to. Superintendents need to be held accountable, and boards need to be held accountable, as the public will say to you. And so we need to have measurables. We need to communicate that out and say, this is what you said you wanted, and this is how I did it. And then we're going to tell you how we did it again, and maybe 6 more times for those that maybe didn't catch it the first 5, right? And then comes the budget. That's number 4. We're going to align our priorities with our budget and make sure that our budget does what we hear people want to do. So listen, needs assessment, strategic plan, budget, and we're off and running in year 2 already. So then we'll be on day 356. So with that, that's really kind of who we are, and this is kind of what we're doing with our work right now. I'd just love to open up for any questions or thoughts that you might have about Southwest Metro, or maybe it's the first time you've ever heard about Southwest Metro. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those.
Could you maybe give me an overview of what Southwest Metro does on a day-to-day basis?
On a day-to-day basis? Well, it's a good question. What do you want it to do for you?
Well, let's see. What do you do about student morale? I know I deal a lot with like how the students are feeling in terms of policies and reactions that the boards have. So, like, do you guys deal at all with the feelings of the students and reactions to maybe policies or things that you guys do?
That's a great question. We actually just had a meeting on that today. I will be doing listening sessions with our students here over the next month or 2. And one of the things we're looking at is probably very familiar to you, cell phone policy. Students have a lot of thoughts and feelings and interest in that policy. So we just met today and talked about how we can engage our students in that process and really get that policy set up to balance our student needs, but also the instructional needs that maybe our staff are seeing, and how do we come together around that. So very important how our students feel, absolutely. Yep, well, thank you for the question.
Maybe, do you want to do like just kind of a brief overview of some of the programs they have from like New Beginnings to
Yeah.
to medical careers, just kind of a general.
I I sure can. I have a whole packet here of information. I'll hit some highlights. I thought about giving you each a packet, and instead of giving you about 20 pages, I thought I would just give you a brief overview. So I will definitely do that. So special ed programming, and I'll kind of start with that. That's a big part of what we do. Students that might have an emotional behavioral disorder, autism disorder, which is a spectrum disorder, cognitive disabilities, some of those low incidence blind, visually impaired students who just maybe need something a little bit different. That's where we come in. We definitely fill that niche, and we have a variety of programs. A beautiful building here right over in right across the street, as well as some other buildings in Chaska and Shakopee, and then we have programs as far down south as Waseca and as far north as Buffalo. So it takes about 2 hours to drive across the area in which we serve. Other programs that we offer, care and treatment is another big one, so meeting students' mental health needs and supporting their mental health. When we think about a continuum of services, and so they might start by seeing a counselor, maybe have co-located therapists, then we might move to like a day treatment, then a residential. So we kind of fit in as those services get heavier. That's the piece that we help fill. In addition to that, you talked about a program that is really special to us in New Beginnings. Sometimes people have unexpected things that happen in life, and so when we have very young parents that are still trying to finish high school, we have a program that provides daycare for students while they attend school and they learn how to be parents, young mothers and fathers. So that's a very fun program that we have, and it's a great setup that we have there to help meet our student needs. And we have adult basic education. That's been a lot of fun. I got to teach English as a second language to some of our adult learners for a couple days, so that was kind of fun. We have a ton of adult programs, so if you come to our buildings, what you experience and see, what do our students say? We have adults that are 70 years old that are in our programs, and we have 5-year-olds, and we have everything between. So all of them have something to say, and it's really it's a lot of fun on things we do. For adult eds, we have GED prep, we have family literacy, we have English language learning, citizenship courses, career skills, international walking clubs, testing centers for different degree programs. We have a lot of partnerships with the counties, and so the county drives a lot of what we do, and we do a lot of grants and write a lot of grants to bring in services for adults. In career and technical education, health sciences, engineering, manufacturing, technology, arts, communication, information systems, agriculture, food and natural resources, human services are all things we're doing. We're currently moving a little more into the generative AI piece and looking at starting some classes for students to learn how to build bots and how to utilize bots and use those safely. We're looking at 2 different programs right now. One is a program called Guardrails, which is essentially what it is. It's like a chat GPT, but you can't break it like you can a chat GPT. Like I know how to prompt chat GPT to do all the things that it shouldn't be allowed to do. It takes a series of things and you can make it do that. These systems are more locked down. The data is private. So we check a lot of different boxes that we need to follow in education. And we're looking at how to make that a student-facing tool to individualize learning for all learners. So as a student going through there, how can we use AI appropriately, but also help that scale up? Because we know in the future of the world, you're going to have to learn to work with AI. It's not going to replace you, but you're going to have to learn how to work with it. And students are already using it, staff are already using it. We need to figure out where education fits in that process. So we have that. Also some teaching-facing tools that we're looking at. Another program called Teach Ally will support our staff to develop standards-based lesson plans and do unit design with generative AI and pull in resources that used to take them hours to find. It pulls it in within a minute. And so I created a unit plan on, we just did a fun one today. We did one on the Civil War, and I was able to create a unit within about 2 minutes, and with all sorts of links and resources and primary documents for students to look at, and I was able to differentiate that down based on student EL scores, based on where they are with their, if you do NWA or STAR or FastBridge, differentiate that. And not that you should just take that as it is, but it gives you a model in which to start from, and then, okay, how can I adjust that? So you need to work with AI. It's that 80-20 mix, that 70-30 mix we talk about. So those are some things that we're working on too. Elevate Online, we have an online program. This has really been a successful program. We actually offer a lot of like in-person. It's not just like log in and like self-paced. It's actually synchronous. Like you go in and actually with a class, they work a lot on building a online community. So it's like when you go into an elementary classroom, right? It's a community. You see the kids, they're smiling, they're interacting with each other. Work really hard to replicate that online. They do a really good job at it, actually. I was extremely impressed. I can't take credit for that. The people that are doing that are amazing, and wow, they're just killing it. So those are some of just the highlights, some of the quick hitters, I would say, of some of the things we do.
Yes. Jeff, I was just thinking, with Southwest Metro and all the specialized programs, your staffing really requires a lot of specialized licensure. And so on a higher incidence, staffing is a challenge.
Yeah.
I was thinking it might be nice just to overview the international work that you've done and continued this year to fill some of those positions. I haven't really talked about it with the board, but they might find that super fascinating.
So when I interviewed for the position, they were very clever. So I was walking with the Executive Director of Human Resources, Natasha, and I said, so I just happened to notice you have like 70 openings or something like that in special education right now. I'm like, there's some posting requirements. I'm like, I'm sure you have a plan for that, right? And she is so good at navigating me away from that and then walking away and just leaving me like hanging. And then about day 2, she sets up a meeting with me. She's like, yeah, we need to talk about those 70 openings and come up with a plan. The truth is you very well have probably experienced, we're short 145,000 people in the state of Minnesota. Like, we just don't have people, much less in a field like education where you need special licensure, you have to have a bachelor's degree and other training requirements. And then there's special education, which is even harder to fill. Different from your district is I need different licensures than you do. All of the universities really do something called an ABS license now. It's a kind of generalist for not students that are more mild to moderate is what we would say. When you have students with higher needs or these like low incidence, blind, visually impaired, it's hard to find those types of folks. So we said, all right, our commitment to our member districts is we would get fully staffed, because if we're not fully staffed, we can't meet your needs. So we had to take a look at that, and we really kind of flipped our model in terms of how we're doing it. So finding paraprofessionals is really hard right now. I haven't looked at your job postings lately, but I can almost guarantee you've got a couple openings for paraprofessionals. That's just kind of what it is these days. So, and if you're full today, you might not be full tomorrow. So we're changing our model to more of a co-teaching model because of the turnover, and we can find teachers actually, but we have to go outside the country to do that. So we've been working international recruiting, and we will be the largest employer of teachers, international teachers in the state of Minnesota by probably February. Our first wave is coming in, December 12th is the target date. We've been doing online training virtually with them, 1 hour optional per week for the last month, and we'll continue that till they arrive. They'll then work through they'll go through an onboarding process, which will also last a week. We've been working with the county. We've built GIS maps that interlace housing on top of transportation routes for those that don't have license. We've worked with foundations. The Southwest Metro Foundation has been great to do zero interest loans to help them get into housing, because they make $600 a month where they are, and they're coming to a place where it's going to cost them $1,500 for first month's rent, plus a $1,500 security deposit, plus a plane ticket of $1,500. Like, it adds up really quick, and that's almost a year's salary by the time we get done. So they pay that back over their first year through a payroll deduction. MVTA is sending, when they get to the airport, they're going to actually send a bus up there to pick them up, and we'll go with them, and we'll have a big bus that'll bring them down. We've been working actually with people here in the city of Jordan at Sand Creek Apartments in order to get some housing and secure that, and we're developing a great relationship with them, bringing people to your community. Some of them have kids that they'd like to bring over too, get you some more enrollment, so we're always excited about that, right?
Thank you.
So that's our first wave. We'll have a second wave coming in early January, so we're going to cohort them through, and maybe a third one as well. By that time, we'll be fully staffed, and we think we'll be able to take more students and better serve our member districts. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So that was an interesting challenge that was presented to me.
You guys have done great with it, though.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your partnership and the superintendent partnerships and yours on the board. They truly have been great partners in trying to think outside the box on how do we meet your needs and do that maybe a little differently. So.
Lauren?
Can you kind of go through how the adult learners go through and identify, like, how does somebody qualify for Southwest Metro that is in the school district, not in the school district, who is past school age, things like that?
Yeah, the truthful answer is it kind of depends on the program. So in some ways, like if you're going to come to our ALC or Elevate online, you might be able to come directly to us, and so a family could make that choice. For the special education programs, a parent can't just say, I want my child to go here. They would go through a referral process, so we work with your team here to refer that. Have we done everything we can to help meet the students' needs here? We want students to be here. I don't want students to come unless they really truly have a need, and we want to support that. So we want to, and if we are going to take them, we want to give them an intense burst of services and hopefully get them back over here to you and have them going to school here in the community. So in that type of program, it would go that way. Career and technical education, it's a little different in every district, but that usually runs through you. So we might be in your course guide, or they might say, hey, I want to go take a class here. So oftentimes we do that way, but every district is a little bit different with that. For the adult learners are more on their own, so they would come through a different process outside of the school system to get whatever services they might need, whether it be job placement, whether it be maybe they want to be a paraprofessional in your district and they have to take the tests. We have a program for that. We have some very, I was sitting in with a group of people, and I had people from all over the world, and listening to them talk about living in different countries like Somalia, coming from Ukraine, which is so war-torn right now, and just how thankful they are just to be there, and just it's amazing when we go around and say, what are you thankful for, and how their answers are what they are. Amazing people. So depending on the program, they may enter through different ways. We also try to do a lot of grants and even recruitment for people. So we got a Drive for 5 grant, and we're really trying to get people that are to transition into local industries. So like we take a look at the city of Jordan. What does the city of Jordan need for employment? And then we try to build programs and then get people to come and go through that program and they get job placed here in the city of Jordan. If you have a need in medical assistance is a easy one, right? Like we all need more in the medical field. So how can we partner and do that? So sometimes we'll go out and even recruit with the county's support on that. So maybe more complex than traditional school districts.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah. There's 11 member districts. We are one of 11. And is it 4 associates, I think? 6. 6.
So
we have
6 associates.
17 and a bunch of people that call me on a regular basis to see if they can sneak in. Right?
Yes,
I know,
yes,
right?
I know.
I have one more question.
Laura.
Are you gonna do the Southwest Metro tours? We used to get tours, and it was amazing. It's amazing how much you learn. And I didn't take a tour probably until, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in. And after I took that tour, I was like, oh, this is awesome. So
I would be very happy to set that up if there's a desire to do that, and however we want to organize that.
You maybe aren't familiar with it yet, but ask your team, because I feel like they did it every either August
It's
or
usually in the
September.
fall, in like
Yeah.
September.
Yeah.
I've
And
heard
it's-
rumors of it.
The bus tour is great.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
amazing.
I had to drive it on my own, but I would love the bus tour.
I made Chad drive me.
It's a trip. I went from Waseca up to
Yeah.
the farm that we used to have. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is
Yeah.
it's a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would love to, if there's interest to do that, I would say just get in contact with one of the two here, and we can help set that up. But I've been told people like that,
Yeah.
and maybe we should bring that back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
there's
it
some
was
really
great.
It
cool
was
things.
a very informative day.
Mhm.
Of course, we couldn't make all the sites, but, they hit as many as they could.
Yeah,
So.
2 half-day trips almost works a little better, like do a spring half and a fall half or something like that. I don't know.
Great, good.
Anything
Any other
else that
questions or
anybody's wondering?
comments?
Well, I appreciate your time, and I
Yeah.
appreciate all that you do, like to throw your hat in the ring for public service. That is not an easy job, so thank you for what you do. It's not easy, and congratulations on the construction projects. You're doing amazing, and you have an amazing superintendent who is so student-focused and really does some really great things. So appreciate to have her as a partner in all this work.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Yeah,
Jeff,
thank
you
you.
for coming tonight.
Yes.
Taking
Absolutely,
time
my
away from
pleasure,
your family.
anytime.
We appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Now go see your kids.
It's bedtime right now, so hang out here.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much. Okay, any other comments or questions? Hopefully that helps give you a little bit more of an overview. I mean, Southwest Metro, the intermediate district, is really a very large, complex thing. So hopefully that helped. On to review and act on the annual comprehensive achievement and civic readiness plan, CACR. Dr. Yomlin.
Hello. So yes, this is this year's CACR plan, which you might be familiar with it as World's Best Workforce. So what it is last year, a year before, you've all heard about World's Best Workforce. In the last legislative session, the name was just updated to Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness, just as part of a bunch of the legislative changes. It was updated, and it doesn't roll off the tongue quite as well, so as World's Best Workforce, I'm still working on it. Much of the plan has stayed exactly the same. The big differences between now Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness and World's Best Workforce is we have a new goal. The goal is to prepare students to be lifelong learners. So that was not a part of World's Best Workforce. And then they took away the third grade literacy goal. That is now reported separately as part of the literacy plan that we work on in June. Right. So these are the primary areas of the plan, just having clearly defined goals, a process for assessing student progress, a system to review staff effectiveness, quality instruction and curriculum, effective educational practices, and then a budget aligned to learning. But really the big piece of this plan are the goals. So we have to have goals in all children are ready for school, all racial and economic achievement gaps between students are closed, all students are career and college ready, all students graduate from high school, and all students are prepared to be lifelong learners. So that's really what we report on. The rest of it just has to be published to our website, and then we report on our goals. So here are the goals for this year, and these were created in partnership with the leadership team, our data team, and then building leadership teams. So our first goal, all children are ready for school. The district will reach at least 90% of resident 4- and 5-year-old children, complete early childhood screening prior to the start of kindergarten for fall 2024, so then it would be the next year, as measured by the developmental indicators for the assessment of learning. So that is our goal, and that's really been a focus of early childhood, is getting all those students in there, getting them screened, and ready for the school year. Then all racial and economic achievement gaps. So this year's goal is specifically focusing on reading, and the district aims to reduce the achievement gap by 5% between EL and non-EL students as measured by the spring 2025 MCA reading test. And one note on that is MDE still uses the EL terminology, whereas in most other places you're going to see ML. So I kept the terminology aligned to MDE until that is updated. So all students are ready for career and college. At least 90% of students will create a personalized learning plan by the end of their 10th grade year. And that's something that actually starts in middle school and carried on through senior year. All students graduate from high school. Jordan High School will remain above the 92% in the 4-year graduation rate cohort model for this school year. And the last goal. So this one made me definitely scratch my head a little bit, because when the first kind of form of this came out, it was just students will be lifelong learners, which I don't know how you can measure that and what we can do to measure and track that they are lifelong learners. Some of the language was clarified and they added prepared, which made it a little bit more into the realm of something that you could assess. And so this was the goal kind of came up with by the end of their senior year. 60% of students will have been enrolled in at least one Summit Academy course or a career and technical educational course designed to bridge classroom learning with their real life passions and future career goals. And that's something that our Summit Academy was created around, that idea of bridging classroom learning with personalized goals and real life education. And it's something that we've really focused on in our CTE courses and in partnership with Southwest Metro that our kids go to take those courses there as well. So I'm really happy where this goal landed. It's the first time creating it, so there's no like baseline data or anything like that yet. So yeah, it's a focus that we've had, so now it really just puts it into practice. So those are the goals of this year's CACR plan. And again, that's the area that we really do get, where we track on that progress and report on those goals. The next section is instructional and curriculum review process. So this really hasn't changed. We are an as-needed formal program review, so we don't have, like the 10-year plans or automatically you get new materials or something like that. We look at it as an as-needs, so something can trigger that evaluation, like standards changes, something in society or the resources have changed. So for example, our business courses are almost reviewed yearly because they'll be using one program like Adobe, and Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong on these programs, like Adobe or something like that, and that one goes out of place, so then we have to update that. So it's really that as-needs process. Professional development, so we're really focusing on the what and the how, a 21st century curriculum focused on standards-based instruction, and then those teaching strategies based on best practice. Our budget, Amy created this for us. This is exactly where we want to be. In Jordan Public Schools, our funds are primarily aligned to learning and student support, which is evidence in that budget, our commitment to using resources where it matters the most. And this is that representation of the budget. So 70% of our spending goes directly back to students' instructional services. And that's always been the goal here. Teacher equity and staff effectiveness. On this, it focuses on ensuring that all students have equitable access to excellent teachers. So we just make sure that we have a process in place to examine the equitable distribution of our teachers and strategies to ensure low-income students, students of color, American Indian students are not taught at higher rates than other children by inexperienced, ineffective, or out-of-field teachers. And we definitely do not have any gaps in relation to our equitable access for any of these students. So we have 20% of the teachers are considered inexperienced, which just means they're not tenured in our district. 3% were teaching out of field, and 72% held advanced degrees. So yeah, we're in a good place with our staff effectiveness. Our TD&E plan, so teacher equity and staff effectiveness, also comes into how we are evaluating our teachers. And this is something with the leadership team and input from teachers that we actually updated this summer into this school year to make sure that we are A, aligned to legislation, B, we're actually putting into place all of our systems that we have here, and just to making sure that our staff is supported, which then impacts our students. And yeah, so we have a quality TD&E plan, and now we're also using a new way to kind of track some of that with our vector solutions. So that's it. You can go to the next slide. This was discussed at district advisory. Some of you are on that, so we discussed that in October, and just got some feedback and different discussions about some of the updates to the CACR plan. So any questions about the goals or anything within the plan?
I actually had a question when, I think it was a little bit earlier in the presentation, you talked about pre-screening for, before you go into kindergarten.
Yep, preschool screening.
Yeah, I just wanted to know kind of what that screening process looked like and what you guys kind of do with that.
So it's done by our early childhood program. So they have screeners that do that, and it just does that first kind of assessment, like, it could be anything. There's like hearing, there's like sitting down and just watching the child play and things like that. There's a whole checklist that it goes through. Yep.
Good question, Henry. I think it includes like large motor skills,
Yep.
small motor
It does,
skills.
yep.
cognitive
Letters,
skills,
shapes.
letters, just kind of getting an assessment for if the kids are
Rhyming.
appropriately at.
Like following instructions, like simple instructions, things like that.
Identifying
yeah.
different pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a parent, so I don't know these things.
Yeah. And parents are not there when it's done, so they have to be outside the room so they don't bias it.
I don't remember, what was the percentage completion that we have of that? And how do we engage those parents that don't do that?
So this was the first year of that goal, but actually last year was the goal. We were at 87%.
Because I was that parent that didn't do that, guys, sorry, but.
Well, I'm glad that you are not going to impact our goal this time. But, no, you know what? But we talked about this a lot because we were so close. And some of it also is sometimes parents do it out of district, so like at a private preschool or something like that. And so tracking that piece too. so that we might not have done it, so we didn't have the data on it, but then also tracking that piece. Yeah.
I think it's kind of complicated because it used to be that, you know, most of the people in Jordan delivered their babies in Shakopee, and so they would get the registries from Shakopee. It's not like that anymore. I mean, people are having babies all over and moving into the district and moving back and forth, and I think it's more difficult for them to access the data records on where these kids are and who they are.
It is, and
So-
Carolyn does a lot with that, with early childhood, but yeah, it is hard trying to track and get them all here and then things like that. So that's been definitely a goal. It's improved. That's why it's another goal this year, to try to get to that 90%.
Is your goal reach 90%, or is it to have 90%?
To have 90%
Okay.
of the students, yeah.
So not technically reaching. The goal is we want 90% of resident. I'm just reading it as we're trying to get a 90% reach rate versus a
At least 90% is what we want.
completion rate, I guess, is how I'm reading that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Any
think
other
it's,
questions?
I want to call one thing to our attention is because at the beginning you have the lifelong learning.
Mm-hmm.
If you read our mission statement, because I remember this from creating our mission statement, that was one of the things that came up constantly is wanting to create a lifelong learner. And this is, it's so close to our mission statement. Our mission statement is to inspire a caring community to ignite learning, innovation, and success for all. But part of getting to that final result was talking about a lifelong learner. So I thought that was kind of interesting. We were
Yeah,
ahead of the game,
I
guys.
liked where the language ended up. At first, it was kind of hard because the way it was first written before it got clarified a little bit, it would have been, you'd have to track like long term, like a longitudinal study to see if we're doing that, and that's a big piece. So having that preparedness as a focus is definitely crucial, and something, yeah, that we've been doing. I mean, that's why Summit Academy was built, is to kind of bridge that gap.
No, I don't think it's realistic to have that as an actual measurable goal because, you know, I'm from Illinois. Are they really going to track me down to see if I'm a lifelong
Well,
learner?
that would be the
You know what
hard
I mean?
part,
That just,
yeah.
from a legislative perspective, that just doesn't seem,
Well, and then when they drilled down to what the intent was and added the language to be prepared for lifelong learning, that changed everything. And,
Yep.
I actually, we've talked about this, that's my favorite goal now of the whole thing. Like, I really appreciate where that landed for us as a district.
I'm biased, but I'm a big fan of it as well. It's what we focus on as a district. It's what we've been talking about, you know. I've been in this role for 5 years now, and it's kind of been something we focus on, so.
it is. I think
like
we
that,
were
yeah.
ahead of the game, guys.
What's our average four-year graduation rate in the last few years? Are we at that 92?
Yeah, we've met it every single year.
Okay.
Mhm.
One other question. This goal about 60% of students being enrolled in at least one Summit Academy course. So just looking
Or
at-
CTE course, so it doesn't have to be Summit Academy.
Oh, okay. So they can take like a business course at,
Yep.
okay. Because I was looking at the current Summit Academy courses thinking, we don't have a business class in there,
Nope.
which feels like.
We did,
Okay.
and that's a goal Vis and I continually talk about.
Okay.
Sydney Tremel right now, who's the business teacher at the high school, she's got a lot of ideas. This is her second or third year, so just getting her first just in the system, working, what do the students want, and that's one of the next steps in expanding
Okay.
Summit Academy. Nope, it's Summit Academy or any CTE course that includes what our students take at Southwest Metro as well.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Great, thank you. Very well written and.
This one's a review and
Great.
act.
Yes, it is. Yep. Thank you, Erin. So this is an action item, so I will entertain a motion to approve the annual comprehensive achievement and civic readiness plan.
Motion to approve?
Lauren, is there a second?
I'll second.
Jenny, okay, further discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Review the annual achievement and integration plan. Again, Dr. Yamlin.
Yeah, I got 2 days of me. All right, achievement and integration. So we are in year 2 of our 2023-2026 plan. So this is really just a progress update of how we're doing so far. So again, the purpose of achievement integration is to pursue racial and economic integration, increase student achievement, create equitable and educational opportunities, and reduce academic disparities based on students' diverse racial, ethnic, and economic backgrounds in Minnesota public schools. So that's the legislation. That's the goal of that legislation. So we are a part of the Minnesota River Valley Cooperative, along with Shakopee Public Schools and Prior Lake Savage Public Schools. So we qualify for achievement and integration because we are an adjoining district. So these are the 4 ways that you could potentially qualify for this program. And we qualify because we are adjoining district to a district that is racially isolated, and that is Shakopee Public Schools. So each year, each new plan is submitted on a 3-year cycle, and it's submitted by March 15th. So we are on year 2 of our plan. All right. So because we are a part of this Minnesota River Valley Cooperative, we have to create a combined goal with everybody who's a part of that cooperative. So for us at Shakopee Public Schools and then Prior Lake Savage. So our combined goal focuses on the cross-district caring and committed conversations. So students in grades 6 through 12 who participate in caring and committed conversations will self-report an increase in comfort level from baseline data to 80% comfort reported in each of the following areas: self-confidence and SEL skills, elevating voice, advocacy for change, leadership skills, and connectedness to school by the end of the 2026 school year. So we are on track for that. All the students, we did the baseline data to get that information at the start of last year, and then they'll be continuously taking the assessment surveys to see that we're on track. And currently we are on track. And again, Shakopee Public Schools and Prior Lake Public Schools will also be doing this exact same thing. It was created together. Then these goals are specific just to Jordan. So goal 2 focuses on student achievement group. So students in grades K through 12 will have access to student leadership groups. We are currently on track. We have these leadership groups already up and running in all 3 buildings: elementary, middle, and high school. Goal 3 focuses on Tier 1 instruction. So we are focused on MTSS Tier 1 instruction based on best practices pedagogy that supports academic achievement for all students. And we are partially on track for this. So how we kind of wanted to do this was specifically PD for Tier 1, and what that looked like. It was going to be kind of voluntary after school with some other legislative changes with the READ Act that made it a little bit more challenging to do that, simply because a lot of that PD time is now going to science of reading training. So this year, there are building teams who are meeting in each building once a month, who volunteered to join this learning community, and they have now been given that baseline data. So we are now on track. And then our last goal, whoa, that's okay. Goal 4 is REACH, and this is again student achievement. So increase elective study halls in REACH in grades 5 through 12, focused on academic achievement, and we are on track. So we have REACH study halls are established in grades 5 through 12 with active participation in these study halls. So those are our goals, and we're on track for all of them. And these are just some of the interventions that we currently have in place to help us meet those goals. So the student leadership group, having the specific MTSS Tier 1 instruction groups at each building, our CRP specialist and equity specialist comes out of this funding. Yeah, so in our budget for the 24-25 school year, it's right there. And again, that's all done by legislation, not us. Question, so we're on track for that.
Survey of the board that we're giving out.
I don't have it
Yeah.
with me, but I can, yeah.
Just getting emailed out.
We're gonna talk about it at the Nest District Advisory on Monday as well. I'll give the same progress update to them.
In the student one? The one that the students are taking? Okay.
Any other questions?
Great, any others?
And that student survey goes to just the students who are part of the ELC at the high school and a part of the caring and committed conversation. So it's not something that goes to like all students. It's specifically for those students who are taking part in the conversations to gather that data.
And how many students is that, would you say?
This year, I want to say there's around 20-ish students
And they volunteer for that, or,
Mhm.
okay.
Yep, they're part of the ELC is what it's
And they'll
called.
do it every year for those, every year starting in 6th grade?
No, we are looking at the high school, but they can be a part of starting in elementary school in 4th grade. That's where the programs start. The actual survey is just for the high school.
Okay.
Yep. So there's two different goals. So, because at the high school, that's our combined goal. That's with Shakopee and Prior Lake, and that's just at the high school. The student leadership group, so that's our Jordan personal goal, and that's at every building. Yep. So the survey just goes to those specific high school students who are a part of the ELC.
How do students get invited to or asked for or get involved in at the high school? How are they selected?
It's just anybody can be a part of it. So Sarah Miller, Emily Peer will kind of put something out saying, hey, if you would like to be a part of this, this is kind of what we do. Students hear about it, and then anybody can join it.
Okay.
Yep.
And that group is fluid. I mean, it changes from
Yep.
year to year. You know, some,
Yep.
some might be in it freshman year and then not
Not,
anymore.
and then come
vice
back
versa.
and,
Yeah.
or come to some meetings and,
Okay.
So the baseline isn't for over each student, because they can come and go?
Right.
well, that's the hard part.
Okay,
That's also where so last year was the first year that they took it in our year 1. So they took it as 9th graders, and specifically we tried to get Sarah tried to get all the 9th graders to take that survey. Then we also had 10th and 11th graders, and not the seniors, take it. So we'll still track that data, but we're going to have to pull it out separately, because really if we're looking at the 3 years, it'll only be the freshmen who will have basically been a part of it to try to get that the most. So yeah, but we're still going to look at what our 10th graders and juniors to see if there was any progress. But it really will be last year's 9th graders that we're going to track for the whole 3 years. Yeah. And that's supposed to be what Shakopee and Prior Lake are doing as well. Yep. And that's where we got the baseline data, was specifically the 9th graders, but we also wanted to track what's happening across the board. Yep. We'll just have to pull out the data and analyze it separately.
Great. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, thank you. This is not an action item. Thank you, Dr. Yamlin. Okay, 7.6, review and act on the annual APAC plan. Mr. Williams, thank you for being here.
Good evening. So every year, we have to share with you our aid application that we develop with, I develop with Sarah Miller and the council chair, which is, oh my gosh, just
Is it Jeff?
Jess Henches.
Henches. Oh my gosh. Just totally left my brain, and I just had it down here. Anyways, so we met to go over our goals for this coming year. So I actually just submitted it last week, and so we're waiting upon approval from the Department of Ed of this aid application. Last year it didn't get approved until like March. So so anyways, so this year we have received $57,500 from the state to put towards our identified American Indian students. We have 53 students that are identified that this aid application would benefit for those students. The first goal that we have is always the post-secondary. So we always want to get our students out to visit colleges. As we have in the past, you heard from Alan Hodak, some of the things that he has experienced with his own kids, going and doing college visits. We want to just get them exposed. We also do ACT prep under this area. Sarah works with the high school students on, finding what career path they want to do, whether it is going into the workforce, whether it is going into college, what can we do to support our students beyond high school. So that is the first goal that we work on with our students. The second goal, if you scroll down a little bit, it works on the academic achievement. So that primary focus, a little bit further, focuses on our after-school tutoring. So for students who are struggling, Sarah Miller works with the elementary and middle school on students who are achieving, especially in the middle school, like the students who are getting like your D's and F's. We pull those students in, we provide academic support after school, we provide transportation to them. The thing that is a little different than targeted services is that we provide transportation for those students. So we want the students to get that academic support so then we can get them home safely instead of like a targeted services. It is an option in the sense where students who do attend targeted services, there is no transportation after school. So that is the focus of that area. We pull the data from our local assessments and state assessments to determine what students also qualify for the other buildings. The next goal, it focuses on curriculum and cultural heritage. So that really focuses on what can we pull into the schools. I know Jess Henches works with Sarah Miller and other staff in the district to bring culture in the school. So they are doing medicine wheels. They also do beading. That's where, if you ever attended our end of the year banquet, you see the ribbon skirts. So those are the things that they are bringing into the school, having the kids learn about their cultural heritage and their own culture within that time. So whenever I'm over at the elementary school, I do see Jess there, and so she is there quite a bit, focusing and working with our elementary students. I know Jess Devine meets with students here at the middle school. They meet in the mornings, and that is the time for those students to kind of also bring in some of those activities, the beading and so forth with our middle school students. And of course, Sarah's at the high school. She has more of that access to the students at the high school. And goal 4 is the positive reinforcement and self-image. So that's where Sarah does a lot of the work with field trips. So she just sent us that they're going to the, I wrote down the Bell Museum. So they just got approved to attend that. That is a big activity for our students to go and see. They also did the, I always say this wrong, the
Hokokata tea.
thank you, in Shakopee. And so they bring them on that field trip. They also do the Owami restaurant, the sous chef, and they do that every year too. So Sarah does a really good job of finding culturally relevant field trips for our students to attend, and they get to experience that, right? The 5th goal that we're working on is that is kind of the intercultural awareness. That's how we bring our families in, right? So in the fall, we do a fall gathering with our families. We kind of talk about what we're doing and what our plan is for the school year for our students, American Indian Ed, identified American Indian Ed students. Then we also do, I think she's trying to do something in the spring too, besides the eagle feather and the annual banquet. So she's trying to figure out something to do this fall. She hasn't really come up with a set plan yet, but in the spring, April 30th is going to be our annual banquet. So please put that on your calendars. We want you to attend that. It is just a great experience. I mean, it's probably, it is probably my favorite event at the end of the year, because you just see the smiles on the kids' faces. You get to see the smile on the staff faces when they pull the kids up and they say the positive things about them and what they're doing in the school. And it's just it's a great event. And so I just, again, strongly recommend you attending that if you can on April 30th. Also attached to this, they really changed our budget worksheet. So it really just focuses on the codes. That's the best way to put it. So before they have the 4 areas, that probably didn't work out very well because it comes on the bottom. There should be tabs, but anyways, so there's different codes. We have the code in our budget for purchasing things for our students, and in the past they had just focus on areas. So we would divvy up, just an example, like $12,000 for 0.1 FTE for Sarah Miller, right? So now everything is divvied up into codes now. There you go. So it's changed a lot in how we do things. So this, and you have access to this, so you can see kind of where we are foreseeing, and that's the best way to put it. Working with Amy on this is, we look at what we spent last year, what codes did we use, that's how it fell into this. So it has to budget out at the end, the $57,500. We do get to resubmit it in February, March if we foresee anything changed, or maybe we didn't use, all of that $21,000 into the consulting fees, which is for the drumming that we have. We have the Samson Samson Brothers hoop dancers coming in. So, so for example, say the Samson Brothers, something happened, they got sick, right? That's $7,000 that we're gonna have to figure out, okay, where are we gonna put the $7,000? The great thing that's we haven't experienced in the past is now we get to carry over those funds, and we have until the December 31st to spend what we didn't spend, which is a great thing, because the last 6-7 years we've been trying to spend money in June, so which is very difficult to do. Sorry, threw a lot out at you, but it really hasn't changed much in the last 4 or 5 years, because I'm very proud of what Sarah Miller has done and our council have done, because we really have a solid plan for our district. We're integrating things into our school district. We're getting kids out. We're supporting our identified American Indian students. And we really feel as a council and as a district that why change anything when things are working, and our families are really happy, our students are really happy, and we're seeing success. Any questions?
This is an action item, so I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Molly, is there a second? You can stay there, Chad. in case-
I can second.
Jenny, okay, any questions for Chad? Good job. Thank you.
I put the banquet on everybody's calendars.
Yes,
I
exactly.
just sent the invite.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chad. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving this year's annual APAC plan signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 7.7, review and act on the required Sunset Drive project easement. Superintendent Evenson.
Chair Polly, members of the board, this is a follow-up to our work session topic with the City of Jordan. If you recall, at our last work session, we had Mike Waltman and Luke Wheeler join us to talk about the parallel project on Sunset Drive that will happen this summer, really starting as soon as school is out and continuing up until Labor Day or sooner, we hope. This is a formality. It's part of our condition of permitting and a part of the assessment agreement that has already been approved by the board. We have done some of the easement work already. If you recall, when we were doing our permitting for our construction projects, we had to replat that whole section of land across the way where the high school and elementary are. That was done as part of that process. Now we need to do the land on this side with the roundabout that's taking place. So my recommendation is to approve it as written.
Looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Corinne, is there a second?
Second.
Sarah? Okay, questions? It's formality we have. Move forward. Okay, the diagrams are pretty self-explanatory, so, yeah. Any questions, period?
No, we covered it all in our work session.
Yeah, okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the required temporary Sunset Drive project easement signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. On to board and administrative reports. Superintendent Evenson.
Right.
Forget.
Yeah, 2 meetings in a row. I was starting to feel invisible. All right. So first of all, happy November. Very excited. Honestly, it's crazy that it's November, but we have had the best fall. It's just been wonderful. I do want to provide just a couple of updates. I've mentioned this before, I think, in the weekly updates, but our high school play is coming up. It's called Up and Down the Staircase, and it's an adaptation of a novel by Belle Kaufman. So it's not this weekend, but the next weekend there are 3 show dates on the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Very excited for the kids with that. We also, this Friday, have a special board meeting. I promise it will go quickly. It's at 5 p.m., so that's super weird for us, 5 p.m., because it's Friday night and there's a lot going on. So we're going to need, we need a quorum for that. And if you recall, Scott County reached out to all of the school districts, probably a month ago already, and asked us all to plan for a special board meeting because they knew they wouldn't have all of the canvassing information ready until then. And so that's why we have the special meeting, is to canvass the votes. It's a formality, but it's a very important requirement that we have to do no later than the 15th. So 5 p.m. here. I promise it'll be quick.
And that's one, Henry, that you don't have to attend. It's going to be a 5-minute meeting just to approve the, okay.
And I think we already determined quorum because there's a couple of us who are out of town.
Yes,
So I
yeah.
think we already
So who
determined
do
we
have?
had.
Who's the quorum again?
I feel like
Jenny and I and Molly. We need one more. Corinne? Okay. You're out of
Perfect.
town.
Yep. I'm out of town.
8 a.m.
The city's doing it.
Well, I mean, we could. I think we just posted it already for 5 o'clock. I suppose
I could do 8 a.m.
We could
I can't do
repost
5 p.m.
at midnight, before midnight, but otherwise 5 o'clock is,
I will be out of town.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, we could if you wanted to.
If you have quorum at 5, then it's fine, but
Okay.
I can't
to you
do
guys.
it.
Oh, yeah, you can't do
Yeah,
it
you
because
couldn't
you're
do it.
teaching.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Or
probably could, but I
counseling.
really don't want to.
Yeah.
Don't
so-
anybody get sick.
So just a reminder, 5 o'clock. Also, the journalist, thank you to Elise and Helen and Andy and all the hours, my gosh, that goes into that. That'll be hitting mailboxes in early December, so be watching for that. Building projects update, I just walked through today. Again, my goodness, they are painting and doing all kinds of things already in phase 1.5. So that is definitely moving along. I'm going to try and plan for another tour, probably early December, for everybody to be able to walk through that. We continue to be on time and on budget, which is one of my favorite things to say because not all construction projects can say that and do that. But yeah, things are going really smoothly. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Superintendent Evenson? Okay, if not, Henry, I am going to turn it over to you.
All right, sorry, let me get my report up real quick. All right, so hi guys. You know the deal. I got some stuff about all three of the schools here. This report is relatively homogeneous for all three schools. There's a lot of similarities going on for all the schools. Some of those being that schools that have conferences, I know high school has conferences tomorrow. The end of the quarter was last week, Thursday. Thanksgiving break begins on the 27th. I know I'm going out of town for that. I'm very excited. In terms of high school, our winter sports are starting up, such things like one act and, of course, basketball. I'm a little biased, but those sports are finally getting rolling. We're transitioning from the fall sports into the winter sports. Middle school had their play this past weekend, and the JMS PTO hosted a fall activity night, and apparently the kids had a great time. I hear it was really fun for them. And then, just open house conferences this Thursday night for middle school as well. One other thing I wanted to talk about was the Veterans Day program we had the other day. Truly fantastic program that we had. We had 2 guest speakers. We had the JHS choir. We had the 5th grade choir. We had the band. It was really just kind of a profound thing to be a part of, and it was really. I know I saw Ms. Polly. I picked Ms. Polly out of the crowd as well as Mrs. Evenson. I don't know if any of you guys were there, but I was just really happy to see that a community could come together to support a day like that. Other than that, not much going on from the side of student morale. Student feelings aren't changing. I'm talking to a lot of different people. It's relatively the same from the last time I gave my report. Another thing I wanted to mention, on the 29th of October, Miss Polly and I had a chance to go to the MSBA Student School Board development event, or kind of lucid name, but whatever. Anyways, I had a great opportunity to go talk with a lot of my peers from around the state, and it was really refreshing to kind of communicate with others that are doing the same thing as me with their school boards. And we got together, at least on the student side. I don't know, Miss Polly, if she wanted to chime in on what they did for the different side of the program. But on the student side, we dove into a lot of difficult topics. We had a lot of different discussions, brainstorms. We had conversations. We had icebreakers. Those were pretty fun. I know I met a ton of friends. But yeah, it was really just a great opportunity and a great event to be a part of. I know it was like, if I were to give advice to any student representative, is as soon as you can get to this event, because it's really interesting to see how other people from across the state, how their programs vary, how they do things in different school districts. It sort of forces you to look at it from a different perspective, and I thought that was really cool. One more thing I wanted to add is when I was talking with my peers there, I heard some really kind of, I don't want to say, like kind of disturbing stories about school boards in terms of how they treat student representatives, in terms of respect, in terms of trust. And I just wanted to thank you guys, because I've had nothing from this board, and you guys are very helpful to me, very friendly, and I'm just grateful for you guys. I don't know if Ms. Paul, you wanted to talk a little bit about what they did.
And we are very grateful for you. Yeah, on the adult end, we just talked about how important the student voice is and how appreciative we are, because you typically are all the kids that are doing 100 million other things. So to take time to be involved at this level is so important, and we just appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
So it was a great day. It was a great day.
For sure.
And interestingly, after hearing Chad talk about the APAC kids going to the restaurant, the meal that day that we got to share was put on by Mid-Waukegan, so it was native food, and it was,
Must I say, it was fantastic.
It was.
If that was a fast food restaurant, Chipotle would be in the can right now. It was amazing.
It was.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I have a lot of information. I bet I can answer something on the spot for you guys if you guys want to know anything. But other than that, I don't have anything else.
I do want to compliment you too, that in the choir concerts, Henry had a solo and did a phenomenal job.
Thank
So
you.
it
Speaking of
was-
which,
it was-
winter concert coming up December 9th. Just going to plug my community real quick.
We appreciate you very much.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Okay, we have the rest of the administrative reports. Any comments or questions about any of them? I just want to give a shout out to the PTO for the kindness raise craze, that they raised almost $33,000 at the elementary level. More importantly, they did 4,000 acts of kindness. That's pretty powerful, pretty cool. So thanks to them. Anything on any of the reports? Anybody? Okay, then we are on to committee reports, budget finance. We've covered calendar. Jenny, I don't believe you were able to be there. but
I
superintendent-
was running late that day, so I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
No, it really was a great meeting. We are meeting again on the 18th, and we may wrap up on the 18th so that we can bring a calendar for board approval in December. That's our goal. We always like to be able to release that to families prior to winter break, so if we can do that, that'd be great. A lot of good feedback, I know, with membership. They're talking to their peers about what they want to have for conferences and what that looks like. We're looking at running a calendar similar to what we're doing this year. And yeah, I just couldn't be more pleased. It was really productive. And thank you to the staff that step up and join that committee.
Great, thank you. City school, I can't remember, you guys, when we met with the full city council, was that before or after our last meeting? I don't remember. Oh, it was right before it.
It was right before it.
Right before it, so we covered that.
Yep.
Okay, so we haven't,
Yep.
we probably don't have a meeting till what?
January,
February maybe?
I
And that'll
think
be just
January,
the
maybe.
subcommittee, not the full.
Yep.
Okay, community ed rec, Lauren and Corinne.
We meet next week.
I'm so glad you were like, I'm like, we didn't meet.
Okay.
It was canceled.
It was canceled, but we didn't meet.
Okay, district advisory, we meet next Monday. Facilities hasn't met, meet and confer, hasn't had to, negotiations, no, policy, we have, I
Next week, right? Yeah.
wonder if I have that on my calendar.
Yeah, let me look. Yes, the 20th.
Oh, gosh, I don't have that on my calendar. What time?
Thank you, Sarah. Gosh, you were
And
on the
that's
ball.
virtual.
Virtual, yep.
Good, thank you. How did I miss that? Okay. APAC, you heard pretty much everything from Chad that we covered in our APAC meeting. Booster Club.
I don't have an update. We haven't met. We meet on, actually, I think we're supposed to meet tomorrow, but I don't have it on my calendar.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Can confirm it is tomorrow because I know from working at the supper club that you guys are coming in tomorrow, I think. So, hope to see you guys there.
Henry, you're everywhere.
I thought it wasn't at the supper
Yeah,
club
I didn't think it was
anymore.
at the Supper Club.
Never mind, I might be wrong. Don't listen to me.
I think they
maybe you're
switched it.
right.
Yeah, we moved it here, but is it the second Wednesday or the third Wednesday of the month?
It's the third.
So then it's gonna be a week.
Next week.
It's
It'll
gonna
be
be on
the
the 20th.
20th.
And I'm not gonna be able to attend because I'll be out of town. If I can call in, I will call in though.
Sarah, you'll be able to.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't been the last couple because with Rob and Lauren on the committee,
Yeah.
we got a lot of representation.
Okay, Ed Foundation, Molly?
They're actually meeting right now, doing the presentations of the grant recipients. So,
Oh, cool.
yep, it's downstairs. I'm missing it, but
Okay.
I was kind of bummed because that's like one of my, it's a fun thing to see what those
Yeah.
teachers, what they are doing with the grant money. So I'll have an update next meeting.
And I do know, I did talk to Jenny Carline. I know they're working on the gala, and she said
Yes.
they're looking for donations of
Yes.
raffle items and stuff like
Yeah.
that, so.
And they're still looking for some, like companies to donate.
Sponsorships.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
what I'm looking for. They're still looking for sponsors.
Yep, good. Legislative, that Lauren and me. Lauren, do you want to talk about that?
Are you talking scale or legislative?
Legislative,
I'm not on legislative.
MSBA,
Oh,
DA.
okay. MSBA, we have the delegate assembly coming up. It's on December 6th and 7th. That's where we kind of go through and look at all of the initiatives that we're going to have MSBA lobby for us. So this is a big giant book that Deb and I have to read. We do some pre-delegate assembly work as well. That is usually done online. And it's one of 3 days you attend, and they kind of go through in depth of all of the things that are going to be brought forward. So I haven't read my book because I just got it, so we'll have a better update next month after the meeting. Did I miss anything important?
No, are you signed up for pre-DA? I'm signed up for this Saturday. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday of this week.
I'm
So,
signed up for Friday morning.
Perfect.
I was going to do Saturday morning, but something's on my schedule.
Good.
Oh, I know. I'm in Florida, and I don't want to do it in the morning.
It's going to be an interesting year, especially with the way the House looks right now is going to be split, so, depending on how the recounts go and stuff. So it could be a very interesting, it will be, no matter what. It will be an interesting year legislatively. MSHSL, I have not had a Region 2 meeting. I did get to go to the state volleyball, saw Southwest play. Other than that, there's really nothing too much going on at the MSHSL level. So, scale, Lauren.
I went. Woohoo. And actually, you guys, it was such a good meeting. Tony Albright came and he talked about the 2025 legislative priorities, and I'm pretty sure I was sitting next to you. I'm positive. I should have introduced
Was he
myself.
talking to his neighbors?
No,
That would
no,
check
but
out.
I saw the name and I wasn't sure if I should have introduced myself, but I probably should have. Sorry.
Were you at scale? Okay.
I'm telling you, he was sitting right next to me. No, I was to your left. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so they
Yeah,
talked.
right.
It's there's a four deck presentation here that I was actually gonna print out and bring for everybody, but I forgot. Well, I didn't forget. It's at home, and I did forget, but it's printed. But anyway, I'm gonna forward this to you because it's a lot of content, but it's very, very informative. We went through the top priorities and policies. And there were some that were definitely aligning with school districts as well. Like some of their priorities that they want to accomplish this year include incremental costs of growth to be paid by developers. And I guess I did not know that developers didn't pay that, but developers don't pay those incremental costs for roads and stuff. It's the city that does all that. So I found that to be, and I don't know why I didn't know that, but I would have thought that developers would have had that. Reform official public notices, of course, because we don't have the paper anymore. That is important to us as well as scale and cities and things like that. We talked a little bit about the soil and water conservation and road bridges. They're really working towards getting, there's a particular bridge that MnDOT wants the townships to take ownership of, which means then they have responsibility for the upkeep, the maintenance, the snow removal, and things like that. And so they're working towards having that still be maintained by MnDOT and things like that. It's 4 pages. I couldn't do it justice by reviewing it all, but it was really a great meeting, and I will forward this presentation deck to you guys so you can get a more comprehensive recap.
Thank you. Good, good. SEAC?
We meet on Tuesday. Next
Okay, okay. And Southwest Metro, Dr. Horton covered everything very nicely tonight. Thank you. No, that's okay. Okay, so on to individual board reports. I'm going to start this time. Like Henry shared, the student rep day in Shakopee it was really a great day, and I was so impressed to see the quality of the kids there and just their dedication, and in particular Henry's. Yeah, I'm just very proud.
You.
You're welcome. The Feed My Starving Children thing was amazing. We packed over the students and the community packed over 526,000 meals, feeding 1,443 kids a meal a day. So that was thanks to Scott Equipment for working with the district and putting that on. Veterans Day program yesterday was, as Henry shared, was a very emotional, beautiful day. And in particular, I want to give a shout out to 2 of our, they're seniors, correct?
Yeah, they're both seniors.
Okay, 2 of our graduating seniors that the Brigadier General and the other officer brought them up on the stage, and they didn't do like a signing, but it was the equivalent of a signing with them. And the Brigadier General had just, I believe just that day, gotten her medallion, which are personalized medallions representing her however many years she had. I don't remember, it was a major. But the medallion had just been printed, and she gave each of them her very first medallions. So it was very powerful, and yeah, great kids. I just want to remind you about Friday, 5 o'clock here, and then November 25th, we have our workshop meeting, 4:50 supper, 5:30 we'll meet. I think that choir concert coming up. I went to the middle school play. It was so funny. It was really great. We do have to work on getting a sound system for those kiddos. I know they got a $1,500 grant, I believe, from, is it the Boosters? Or, I don't know who.
I haven't been made aware.
Yeah, they did get a $1,500 grant, but the microphones cost more like $4,300, so we'll talk about that. They're working on grants and stuff like that, so. And then one other big thing, we have a very special birthday tomorrow.
Oh,
I want to wish Renee a happy birthday and hope she has the best day tomorrow.
Oh, thank you.
Can we share?
Go ahead.
It's a biggie.
I'm gonna be like 50, like 50.
Welcome to the club.
My grandma was 50.
You're only halfway to 100, it's fine.
Yeah.
And you are her grandma, are you not?
Yeah.
I am older than you, and I am not a grandma yet.
So we wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you.
That's okay, though, that I'm not a grandma, actually. Sorry.
Okay. And with that, Sarah?
I don't have anything tonight.
Okay. Lauren?
I don't have anything either.
Molly?
I'm boring as well. I don't really got any. It's the end of the quarter, and so kids are just ready for break. I'm ready to have my college kids home. So,
Corinne?
We're kind of in the calm before the storm. We got a couple of months off here on the personal level before things will get crazy again, so enjoying that. But yeah, not a lot going on.
Good. Jenny?
You guys are hella boring.
Yeah. Super boring.
I send my kids up for conferences, Lego builders, and the science club, like, and swim lessons today. But no, I don't know. No, we're just busy. But things are good.
Great, good. Henry, any closing words for us?
I mean, I think I covered it all in my report. I'm just glad Thanksgiving break's coming up.
Great, good. And you have to get to basketball, I hear. Yes.
I'm gonna be showing
25
up-
minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm gonna be that's okay. I texted the coaches. I'm gonna be a little bit late, but that's okay. I would miss this.
Okay,